Yep, you can see the slides. Great.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yep. Thanks for having us this evening. It's a real honor to be here to talk to you all. So my name is Ian. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called Formation. Also based in Berlin, where I'm talking to you from tonight. Yeah, we're working on the app for frontline workers. So I'm just one of a team. I'm one of 4 co-founders, and then we have a total team size of 14. We're a pretty small startup, as you can see. The idea we're working on originated in 2016, and very slowly we built the founding team and the rest of the team around us. We're bootstrapped, we're very dedicated, and we're united by a mission. Our mission is to empower frontline workers. So we're talking about construction workers, service workers, manufacturing workers, and so on. Our definition of frontline workers is quite broad. So as part of our first-hand research, we found some shocking numbers. 2/3 of workers' average day is spent on low or no value tasks. So what we mean by that is, you know, waiting for materials to show up, waiting for people, waiting on deliveries, that kind of stuff. And actually 1/3 of their day only is spent on productive tasks. So let me give you a couple of examples. So we were lucky enough to be invited by Lufthansa Technik to their base in Malta to assist them with some of their innovation projects. As part of that, they told us that they move airplanes in and out of these really huge hangars with this kind of vehicle here, and it's at the back of it got this device which is called a tug, and the tug is different depending on the aircraft type, so there's lots of these, and they're very frequently lost, so they tend to get left where they were used and then they kind of become lost. So you can imagine how kind of frustrating that is. And also it's the airline industry, so you know, minutes cost thousands, right? Take another example. So we spoke to Hannover Messe, and you know, they obviously organize very large scale events. They're very complex events. There's a lot of moving parts, and yeah, we talked to one of the on-site managers there, and he told us that he gets over 100 calls per day, like a minimum. And most of those calls are about where are you, where is it, where's the things we need, where are the places we need, and so on. So again, you can imagine how frustrating that is, particularly for him, but for everybody involved. And that's why we built Formation. So Formation is an all-in-one productivity tool for frontline workers. So let's take the Lufthansa example again. So now open the app, they type in search for the tug, and then the tug pops up where it is, and they just go exactly to where it is and get it. So what was extremely annoying and stressful is now trivial. So let's take the Hannover Messe example. So again, you know, creating a meeting is pretty straightforward. So you just drop a point, you give it a name, you can invite some attendees, so decide who's coming, pick a time for your meeting, and that's pretty much it, you're done. It's really quick. We also support Internet of Things. We allow workers to place points of interest on the map, attach photographs to those points of interest. Internet of Things is there, so we can support integrations into smart objects and allow the user to interact with those via cards on the map. So basically, we're concerned with everything around people, so your colleagues in work, places, so places of interest, rooms and zones, and things. So smart things like we said, Internet of Things, or dumb objects, let's say some materials that are located somewhere around the building. So everything around people, places, and things, that's what we're focused on. And that's, all of these things can be represented on the interactive map. And that's why we call Formation the workplace in your pocket. So for us, we're very interested in solving indoor as a business challenge, let's say. So solving indoor for us means understanding that there is no one silver bullet for indoor positioning. So with formation, we sit like a sort of a layer on top, and we provide the app. We want to drive forward with great UX, and that's where we think our strengths are. But we also support deep tech components, and their positioning and communication components. And we are very friendly, very open to the ecosystem. Whatever's out there, we'll try and support it and adapt to it so that we can offer the most flexible setup to clients that we possibly can. So just a call out to everyone here, if you offer deep tech components, we'd love to talk to you, but a little bit more about that later. So for us as a team, I think what's important to say is that we love technology, but we particularly love technology that enables great user experiences. And that's really what we're really interested in, is creating great experiences for the worker. We want to make apps that workers truly love to use and that have a very, very high utility value to them in their daily lives. So just a word on some of the indoor maps that we use. So obviously we're about mapping, and we map indoor spaces. Like we mentioned previously, some of that is with geomagnetic or other methods. But we had a bit of a challenge about where we might get some of these maps. And one of our more pragmatic solutions, I think, to that was that we just use fire escape plans. So they're a legal standard, they're a legal requirement, they're created to a standard. And so they offered us a very, very quick way to just get a location set up inside our app. So we can also use floor plans that are supplied by the client. We can use publicly sourced maps. So obviously a lot of map providers have indoor locations coming online now. And then we can also create our own custom plans if the client so wishes. So I'd also just like to speak a little bit about a consultancy service that we sort of offer. So yeah, we're a product company, but we also provide location-based consultancy. We're trying to solve business problems, and they're basically business problems that are around location or location technology or anything along those lines, because that's our core competency. So here's an example of one tool we very quickly created for a client. The client had a problem where the staff were being included inside the in-store analytics. These are very high value stores, and that was really screwing up their numbers. So we created this small transponder mode that we could put our formation app in, and that would just track the workers where they are and subtract them from the in-store analytics. So you might be wondering, is this up and running or where are we? And we're happy to say that there's multiple paid pilots currently ongoing. We just finished with the Bosch.io accelerator after 9 months. It was a fantastic experience. So we're delighted to announce that we're running 5 pilots concurrently with Bosch. So we have a great relationship with them. And also we have pilots ongoing with Hella Aglia and Deutsche Bahn. Just a word on some of the research and development topics that we're doing. We take research and development extremely seriously, and it's not a long distance ambition. It's something we're currently working on, and we hope to continue to always do so. A couple of the topics we're looking at is, for example, large scale, low cost object tracking. We have what we think is a pretty novel approach to doing this that doesn't involve actually object trackers at all. So we take a totally different approach on it. So that's one of the topics we're actually actively working on internally. We're also working on some projects to use AI and machine learning to clean up location data, which is often very patchy or incomplete. And actually machine learning is a perfect technique for doing something like that. In the future, we even hope to predict future events and even the future positions of certain objects or even people. And that's something that we're developing as a research line. We're also working with geohashes. Yilis van Gerp is on our team. He's pretty amazing on this topic. But he's, we want to launch a project into semantics involving Elasticsearch and building a sort of a semantic understanding of the workplace and how it's being used. And obviously with that, we could do some pretty good business analytics. Also, a key topic for us that we're very interested in is mesh networks. and always on communications or highly robust communications. We're very interested in high security use cases, and that would allow us to provide a level of kind of communication security to clients. So also just to point out some of the relevant challenges that we faced. So in recent times, so obviously COVID-19, like everybody, has been a huge challenge for us in particular. It created some problems around gaining access, physical building access to run demos. Even gaining access to clients was quite difficult, and the course budgets were pretty tight and in some cases frozen. So we had some clients, like for example, in the events industry where things kind of went on the long finger. So that was something we had to cope with. But it also on the upside presented some new opportunities like social distancing in the workplace or building occupancy. We're pretty well placed, we feel, to help there. And then some kind of very German stuff. So user privacy, GDPR, is a huge topic here. And obviously, if we're asking people to kind of share locations with colleagues and stuff when they're meeting, that's a key issue. We take it extremely seriously, and it's a core reputational issue to us as a company. So our strategy to deal with that is to work very closely with the German workers' unions and basically bring them on board as a design partner from a very early stage. And so that's how we're coping with that. I'd also just like to call out to say that we're very interested to hear from partners, both tech and business partners. As you saw earlier in our tech slide, that we're very, very open. So we really want to speak to anybody who is interested in positioning or communications technology that we could support. Obviously, business partners are always welcome. New team members, so if you find what we're doing interesting and feel you could contribute, we'd love to talk to you. Of course, we're a startup, so new customers always very welcome. Clients for our consultancy with geo business problems, or of course, compatible investors. So as I've said earlier, we're bootstrapped, so we're trying to do this in a very responsible way. So if there's investors that fit with that vision of how we're building it, then we'd love to talk to them. So kind of concluding, we've focused on 3 major verticals so far. So manufacturing and maintenance, facility management, and the events industry. But in a broader vision, you can maybe see how formation translates to any industry and maybe any workplace and anywhere in the world. And most importantly for us, for any worker. And that's formation.
Great.
Thanks.
So, Ian, I've got a couple of questions here for you.
Right.
In the manufacturing space, are you working with people like Ubisense?
Not currently, but we have a lot of sales activity ongoing, and we are talking to German companies in that space, but not that particular company that you mentioned.
And somebody else asked, do you offer navigation within the app?
Yeah, we can do pathfinding, wayfinding, route finding, and so on. Yeah, absolutely.
But not presumably from a scanned map.
So we can set up the map on our end that it's interactive. So if it's a scanned map, it's a static thing in its own right, but we can lay interactive data on top of that. So our map is fully interactive. So yeah, we could do that.
Okay, fine. And one from Ed again, who says, over the years, especially recently, this is a space with more and more innovation and approaches. A lot is happening technically. What's the best way for someone interested in learning more about this fast-moving space?
Ooh, that's a great question. Yeah, it is very, very complex, and that's kind of what we referenced earlier about that there's no silver bullet. Like the indoor positioning is extremely complex. I think there's just some great high-level articles out there. Like even just basic research on Wikipedia would be a very good starting point. Like just to get an overview, I think, of all the different technologies that are out there. I think what's important to understand is that the technologies are on a kind of a spectrum of performance and cost. And so you're maybe looking to pitch, somewhere on those scales.